today. I think we are all here, at least the ones giving talks.
So yeah, if you want, we can start maybe, or
Yeah, I wanted to start by saying that like this meetup was an idea that came up with when talking with Flor, a girl from Argentina, that she's organizing Hydra meetups, like the software developed by Olivia Shack that Kitty made the that hack to use it with FoxDot, and it seemed like a good idea for us to start like meeting each other and sharing what we are doing with FoxDot, because I think that it's sort of a dead project today, unless we as a community like start collaborating and continue developing FoxDot. I think Ryan is not coming back, so it's up to us to keep doing stuff. And most of us have extended Foxtrot in some way or other, and maybe we are like copying each other or doing things more than once just because we are not talking enough. So that's sort of the idea that made this. Um, I'll start with my talk. I'm gonna talk about two things today. So the first is um, I'm gonna do a sort of tutorial on the one of the things that I think is most frequently asked. That is how to use like uh, custom things in FoxDot, like to grab some things that SynthDev that from Super Collider that maybe we can find in GitHub. There's lots of SynthDev in GitHub, and use it in FoxDot. So let me see. Okay, can you see my screen? Yeah.
no yet.
I can see Troop,
Okay.
and I can see your console.
Awesome.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, me neither.
You can see anything?
No.
I'm using Firefox.
Yeah. Should I switch to Chrome?
I like Firefox because I'm using it.
Me too.
Okay.
I can see it as well.
I'm also on Firefox. Well, I think I try Chrome.
So some of you aren't seeing my screen.
Yeah, maybe if you just try it again or something. I don't know.
Okay. I can do that. There? No.
I just need to refresh the browser, maybe.
Okay, I'll be back.
The video started lagging pretty bad, I guess.
Okay, I switched to Chrome, and now I think I've seen the desktop for a while.
There. You should be seeing my screen.
Oh yeah, now it works.
Interesting.
It's not working for you.
Weird.
It should be
I
working.
now see a Jitsi tab open.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
okay,
me.
cool.
Okay. So the first thing is I use a Python environment for working with FoxDot. So I have this like little folder that's called fox.mm, and here I store like my working environment like I would do with another Python project. So I just activate it like this. and I'm using my desired like FoxDot configuration. So to use synth, we must find a things we like. I grab this one from GitHub. I'll share the link when I found it. So I found this repo from GitHub. I'll share it here.
Switch
And as you
to
can see,
Chrome.
it's a super
Yeah.
collider synth
Is that
definition.
working for you?
These are like, I grabbed this from the super collider docs. Are the templates that super collider uses to create these classes that it uses to create sound. You don't have to know a lot of super collider to use them. I mean, you must know something in order to edit some definitions, but you can simply grab one, save it into a file, or even like run it on super collider, and you will be ready to use it. So I have it in this file, and what we're gonna do is we can run it. There's two ways to do it. We can run it on super collider and then load it from FoxDot. Like, okay, we know this definition is already loaded on super collider, so we can use it. To do that, we must copy the code. I think I can copy like this. Okay, it copies the lines for me. Okay, so it's this one. So I can copy it, I can paste it on super collider and evaluate it. And I'll see this. This means that super collider loaded the definition. And then what I can do is create a variable that's called just like the definition. So it be BBF so, and I will do synths BBF so. If this is right. Yeah. So I should be able to use it right now. So yeah, it's a little loud. Okay, so we have it sounding, but maybe it's a little too much work to do this all the time. Each time you're running FoxDot. So what you can do is store it in a file, like we did here. The file, it's very important that the file is named just like the definition. So this is the name of the synth, and your file must be named like just like it. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it, and we must store it where FoxDot stores all the synth definitions. This is, we can go to the environment folder, and here we have leave. No, just leave. The Python version packages. We can find FoxDot in here. And then we have this OSS folder. And this is the folder that's called SSE synth. And here we have all the synthesizers FoxDot uses. So I already added this one here. It is right here. And like this, you can load it instead from loading it from super collider. You can load it from a file like this, file synth def bpf so, and it will load it, and you'll see that, well, it was already loaded. But if you do it this way, sorry, I must also add it, and you'll see that super collider loads the definition just like it loads a bunch of them when you start FoxDot. That's a thing that tells you, okay, that was loaded correctly. And you can add these lines to your startup file, the startup.py. and it should be on the config folder in the same folders that we were browsing. So it should be in FoxDot. It's in lib, I think, custom. Yeah. So there you have it. You can modify that startup.py and add these lines, the file, the synths, and we add it when FoxDot boots. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is this rhythmos.json file. So this was a project that we made with Mati. Yeah. We found that Pocket Operations, it's a company that, or a product that develops like little drum machines, and we found they have this book that is a PDF file with lots of like patterns, rhythm patterns. You have like standard breaks, rock patterns, electro patterns, and a bunch of them. But we wanted to use them in FoxDom, so what we did in some sort of explorations of automating music composition, we decided to scrap the whole book and save it into a JSON file. What we did was to convert the PDF into HTML and then scrap it using Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is a HTML parser. It's a Python library, and it looks like this. It was a bit messy, so you have to try like different converters from PDF to HTML. But it paid off because we now have a bunch of rhythms and patterns we can use. It's this whole JSON. You can find all the repository here. I'll show it on the code. Okay. And we also wrote this pattern to FoxDot. What we did is we mapped the several like instruments, the book references, to some of the standard samples FoxDot uses for the play function, and we load this JSON. This transforms like the JSON content using defined like character or sample, and this pattern allows to load patterns directly from the JSON if it's stored in this patterns variable, right? I don't think this is loaded. Yeah, this is loaded. So I should do like pattern 1. No. So it's not loading right now. I can copy all this. Oh, this is loading. You can also load it from the GitHub repo, like this. Yeah. And now this should run correctly. Hold on. Yeah. So there's a bunch of them, so you can experiment with all of them. It will write to console what pattern is playing, so you can use them and try them. And this second talk wasn't that technical, but I think it's interesting that we can use stuff from other places that weren't intended to be used with FoxDot, but we can turn this data into things we can use when making music. So that's pretty much it. And that's what I had to say today.
Nice, thank you. And can I ask where are you getting all those synth devs usually?
Usually I browse GitHub. There's a bunch of repos that like awesome super collider synth dev. Um, you can also make yours if you study a bit of super collider language. But I mostly hunt them on GitHub. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I'm glad you noticed the pocket operator. I've actually got one.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, that was it. I know if there's any questions. We are gonna have a question like blog after the talks, so we can talk more about it. Sure. Yeah, sure.
So a few things. I think what Pablito said is really important. I think this meetup is pretty much inspired on Hydra, or I don't know how to pronounce that, Hydra meetup. So if you want, you can check the events. Those are pretty good, and probably we can steal some ideas like making a nice website like this the next time. I don't know. So my talk, the first one is about using. Let me share my screen. How to. Sorry, let me share with audio. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first talk is about how to transcribe music. Let's say you really like some song, and you are not so good in music like me, and you are not so good at transcribing music into FoxDot code or music sheets or whatever. So in that case, you can use machines to translate stuff for you. There is an AI team from Google called Magenta that developed a really good music transcriber. So I'm using that here. This is a platform for running Python code that if you click here, you can access and see all the code I'm using. It's not important. I'm going to share this with you so you can try and run this. This runs in a server, so you don't need to install anything in your computer. But yeah, basically, I installed these libraries that some people in Google developed, and I choose. This is what I added. I made it a little bit easier to use. Here you just paste a YouTube video that you like with the song you like, and it transcribes it. And at the end, I modified it a little bit, so it at first generates just a MIDI file. I modified it a little bit, so it generates fox.code. So the song is this one. Can you hear the music? Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not so magical anyway. I mean, this only works with piano music, but the good thing is that a lot of people does piano covers of famous songs or somewhat popular songs. So if you just look for piano cover of anything and you paste the link of that YouTube channel, this is going to work for you. The transcription, if the audio quality is not perfect, might not be perfect, but you can check it here. If you listen this is going to just play the MIDI file. If it works, then it's probably going to work perfectly. The first steps, the installation of all this stuff, might take a few minutes, a few seconds. But at the end, what we want is this, a MIDI FoxDot to code. You run this, and this is going to generate a FoxDot code. I'm going to wait a few seconds until this finishes running. Okay, so I just go cell by cell, giving play to each piece of code. If you are, as I said, if you are curious about how it works, you just double click and you see all the code. This is everything is open source. This is optional. If you want to download the MIDI file with the transcription, you can do that. But if you are, since this is a FoxDot meetup, we want the FoxDot code, not the MIDI file. So I'm going to play this one. If you're not familiar with Google Colab, with this platform, it's really useful for machine learning stuff, because right now we are using a server that has a free GPU, a graphic card. So you can take a lot of advantage from that. I mean, if you try to run this in your computer, unless you have a pretty powerful computer, it might be a pretty slow process. Okay, so this is downloading the code. I'm going to open this, and this looks like this. I'm not going to run this in my computer because it's a little.
We are not seeing the FoxDot.
Sorry, yeah. Let me paste it here. So this is the code. I mean, this is a crazy FoxDot code because this is like too long, really long, but it might be useful for transcribing music. This is all the song, or sorry, not all the song, just a piece of it. If you go here, you can specify here where the song starts, in what beat. This 0 means the start of the song, and here this is the length. So if I say, I don't know, start in the beat 40 and generate 120 bits of music, okay, that's what it's going to do. You can try it by yourself. If you want, also I can send you this piece of code through the chat. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's see. And okay, that's like a lot of code, but you can try it. And let me see if you made some questions. Okay, so that's it for this part. Do you have any questions about this?
You said it's only piano music?
Yeah, that's the bad thing or the limitation of it. It only works with piano music. So here you should insert a YouTube video from a piano.
Interesting. This is not an open source project, is it? Is Magenta?
It's from Magenta, but yeah, it is an open source project. You can just go to the GitHub. They have.
Or I meant,
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I find it interesting that both of you that have just presented, I'm interested in some research questions which are like extremely similar to, almost like we could start a research team, so similar. So maybe we should start a research team.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Do you have something in mind, like?
Yeah, I'm working on transcriptions as well, and I'm working on using machine learning to do transcriptions of FoxDot. And I think it's one really important thing that maybe could start being to be considered is creating an open source library of data,
absolutely.
an open source data set.
Yeah, I think this works pretty good. And right now, what I need the most, or what it needs the most, is to make it more accessible, easier to use, because like the code I just sent, it's really hard to use. Maybe it might be processed a little bit, so it's more accessible for a FoxDot user or for a musician. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't want to take up too much time, but I mean, this is like, yeah, we need another meetup for talking about this specific thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. So I'm going. Yeah, sorry.
I think the Google Drive link that you've posted requires access, so maybe you should like make it public or anything. And it will also be
Let
nice
me
if
check that.
It will also be nice if you shared the Jupyter notebook that you've used, or not.
Yeah, I mean, I just sent the link again. Doesn't it has a read access?
Yeah, it works now. Thank you.
Awesome, great. Okay, so I'm going to briefly talk about the other thing I wanted to discuss. It's about singing synthesis. So I don't know, I really like electronic music, but sometimes I think like, okay, a lot of music I like has someone singing, so I would like to do that, but I don't know, I don't sing well, and I like to automate stuff, so I would like the machine to do that for me. So I have been experimenting and doing some research about singing synthesizers. Probably you know Vocaloid. There is a company called Vocaloid, a Japanese company. They have a great software that's for singing, but it's not open source. You need to pay to use it, and it's not really for live coding. It's like it has a graphic interface. It's hard to automate stuff with that. So I started, I don't know, using some open source projects. There is one I use called eSpeak. Probably you know it. It's like a robotic voice that it's used from the terminal. So someone modified it a little bit, so it allows to control the pitch. So I used that, and I made a small wrapper, a Python wrapper, and I uploaded this with the help of Pablito to a website. So now it's just an API that you can use really easily in FoxDot or in anything. And here is the code. I'm going to send you this so you can check it too. Okay, so basically this thing is a request to a website. It's a request to an API. This function, you specify the lyrics, for example, and you might specify also the notes. You might say notes, and here specify pretty much in a FoxDot style the notes you want to sing. If you don't specify it, then I just place these notes as default, but I don't know. So if you run this, the first time this might be a little bit slow, because in the server where it's running, if anyone is doing request, then the service goes to sleep. So the first request might be slow, but after that it should be much faster.
This is a test audio file. This is a test audio.
After you run it the first time, it really takes 1 second, 2 seconds, and So this is like a robotic voice, but I like that you have a lot of control. Not only the text, but also the duration, the notes, the octave, the language. It works in several languages, English, Spanish, and whatever. The other thing is that there is a Japanese university that developed something like Vocaloid, but public, free. It's not the model is not open source, but you can use their website, this website, synths.jp. And I made a small library to use that website. So once you specified the notes you want for this robotic voice, you can send that information, the notes you want, the text you want, to this other website using this library, and then it synthesizes the same thing but using this better quality voice. This takes a little bit more, but generates a better quality voice.
This is a test studio file. This is a test studio.
I don't know, that's pretty much it. There are a few new singing synthesizers with deep learning, like more artificial intelligence. Those are like more old style, but right now the open source stuff I found, these are like the best ones I got for now. And that's pretty much it. Anyone has some questions, or you can try it in the collab link. Awesome.
That's pretty nice. And can you like use the output as in FoxDot as, for example, as using the loop, like an audio sample?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I usually do that. This is as simple as saving the file in the loop folder, and then you can use the loop function to load that.
Nice.
I have some issues if, for example, I generate some voice. I use the loop function, but then I update that file. Maybe the loop function loads the old one. To fix that, there is a method called reload. I think you can say like b1 player dot reload, and that fixed the issue. Okay, I don't know. I think Crashserver goes now, right?
Okay, now you can see us, hear us, everything is great, right? Okay, cool. So sorry, we start again maybe for those who want to follow it more clearly. Yeah. Okay, so you open the Super Collider, you go into the language section, you go into Quarks. In the Quarks, you choose FoxDot, you go to Show Classes. You've got FoxDot, and there is Open File here. You've got to look for the line that says the number of outputs channels. By default, it's 2, so you've got to switch to 4 channels for 4 output cards. 8 if you want, if you have 8 outputs, or 6 or whatever. So I put 4. Save file. You kill the server if you've got one running. You recompile the class library, or you restart Super Collider, whatever it suits you. Okay. Now you go to Carla, which is the patch bay, and you should see, where is it?
just need to start the FoxDot stuff.
Oh yeah, right. Start FoxDot. Okay, and now you've got in Super Collider, you've got 4 outputs here. By default 2, so now you've got 4. The 2 extra ones, you route them to the system playback. Okay. Now we go to FoxDot, which I should probably read. Okay.
So now we need to add the FX, the FX. Yeah. Yeah. So tutorial. Okay. You've got this line of all this code. Poof. Okay. Put all this code in FoxDot and run it. No, not this screen. No. No. FoxDot. Yep. Okay. Okay. Evaluate. Okay. Evaluate everything. Well, okay. And now you can, give in the chat. And now, yeah, just let's try something. Okay. Okay. You hear the sound? No sound. Fuck. No, Carla. Okay. No, everything in the person. Yeah. You hear something? No. Yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah. We need to restart SuperCollider.
It's okay.
Yeah, we have plenty of time.
Do we?
Yeah.
So restart.
Restart
Okay,
FoxDot.
there we go.
Now I just have to kill FoxDot first.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Kill the FoxDot.
Right.
Okay, right.
We'll get there.
Yeah. FoxDot start.
That's
Start. Okay. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Just launch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You got something?
You hear some sound? No, you need to root the sound because you should hear something. Do you hear something? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you get the kick. Okay. So you can add can add the FX output.
Okay.
No, it's not a jamming session. FX1, okay. And you don't hear anything. See, you should
Use some distortion on the kick.
Yeah. You should hear some distortion.
Can you switch between distortion and no distortion?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Non. Enlève l'espace.
Voilà. With distortion. Yeah, you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, it works. Okay. One thing I want to say. Yeah, because first you need to connect the capture. You see here. This is mine. Give you. Yeah, you need to connect this one to the output to playback. Yeah. Okay. Because this is no, not this one. This is my mic. This one is the FX, the 2FX. Okay.
It's the inputs of the sound card. You've got to route them to the playback. Right. So let's go back to our code, which is somewhere here, right? We've got 2 FX running at this time, so you can choose the other one, which is I think a delay or something, or yeah, a little delay. So same system. Here we've got no FX on FX2. You hear a delay, I guess. A double delay because of the latency of the stream.
Yes.
And now you can do both at the same time if you want. If you don't forget the comma. Okay, so nice. So that's basically how we route FX. Cool. So that was about the FX. Now we've got another little talk about some custom functions we added over the time, which is somewhere, I don't know, here. Yeah, here, exactly. Yep. Control C, Control F. I had a FoxDot somewhere. It's a little bit messy with all those things open, right? Okay. So, okay, we're not going to go too deeply on how it's coded and what, but just a little demonstration of what it does. So one function we found very useful is unison.
Yeah.
So
it's always added to.
You hear it? Yeah, I guess. Okay, so let's try with the unison. So this is the first parameter, is the number of voices. And the detune value of each voice. So just a quick note, be careful using this with the number of voices, because of course the more voices you add, the more CPU overload you have, so you may crash sooner than expected. Then we have human. Human is a sort of humanizer, I guess. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which adds some randomness to your parameters. Very useful on the hi-hats or perks, random perks. First parameter is velocity. Very well. He's going to make a little demonstration. Okay. Oh, I don't have the human. A little swing. Now this is the velocity. And some swing. Cool. Next one. Okay, that's okay. Next one, this is a variation on the linvar. It does exactly the same as a linvar, but just one time. So you specify a starting value, end value, and how long it takes to get there. So I could code an example quickly, I guess, or I guess it's self-explanatory. The exp-inf exactly the same, except it's an exponential variation over time and not linear. Gauss is a random generator, but on using a Gaussian distribution. So, oh, you made a little example. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Or not. Okay. Okay, let's say that's the problem with live things. It always works. The code is supposed to work correctly, but I guess there's some mistakes. We won't. Well, let's not go too deep in this. I don't know. It's just a fresh Ubuntu install from this morning, so there might be some quirks. But he's going to do some debugging quickly, apparently. Wait, you still hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. C'est le Gaussien que tu veux. Vas-y. Well. Okay, well, we'll see. Okay, there's a little thing. We'll put the information in the chats just, but let's go move on. Coin is also a random generator, which is quite simple. It uses three values. Well, yeah, three values. The first one is you've got two possibilities. It's a coin flip. So the first value is the first output of the first probability. Sorry, of the flip. The second one is the other output, and the third parameter is the probability to go to one or the other. Okay, so let's change the probability. So now it's mostly sticking to 1. And now it's mostly sticking to 0. Anything between is going to switch between 1 and the other. Let's go. Okay, the Gaussian is working right now. Okay. Okay, next we have. Next we have. What do we have? This one. Add and melt.
Yeah. No, it's mostly because what I found interesting is to add sometimes with let's say degree add. So basic, but not in the
Okay, then some effects. We still have got a lot of time. I feel like we overused our time a little bit. We still go on, or we want to?
Yeah, go on, please.
Okay. So some effects, yeah. Leg is a legato generator.
Try with a plug.
Okay, plug and. SPF is quite interesting actually. It's a larger problem or something we might think about altogether. It's how to write a system which would allow to use any envelope on any parameter, which would be very nice, like sliding from one value to another. So we did a few things with HPF and LPF, low pass and high pass filter. It could be enlarged on other things, maybe. We've got to think about it. So basically, you say from which value to which value it goes, in how much time it goes, and you can use it, of course, with unison. Okay, let's go. Next one. Next one, shop exists in the base of FoxDots, but we added some parameters which we find quite useful on delivery effects, which is the mix parameter. So it's a dry wet between using the effect and not the effect. On chop we also added chop wave to specify the shape of the chopping, the chopping and the inversion or not. Nice. Then we've got something which can be quite useful. It's a simple equalizer. So from a low frequency, mid range, and high frequencies. Yeah, it's quite self-explanatory. So the frequency of the filtering and the multiplier of the signal. And you want to make some dirty sounds, right? Okay. Then we've got some room. Well, not much to say about it. It's a reverb and stereo reverb, which is the nice thing about it. Otherwise, it's quite,
Well, with some rev.
With some dampening. Oh yeah, with the
attack.
With an envelope on the attack and the sustain. Here we've got code we use to filter for the FX for the routing. You can see there is also LPF FX1 and HFPF X1, which is the filtering of the sound going through the FX pedals. And that's basically it, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that was that was all. Sorry for the little technical hiccups. But yeah.
It's okay, you fixed it like a boss. Says
If you've
it was
got any,
very interesting. Like I'm impressed, and I love the humanizer.
quite nice. Yeah. All the code is of course available on our GitHub. You can use it whatever, and maybe we can indeed work on a long-term something all together, bring everything together. It's still a bit messy our code sometimes, so it might need some cleaning. Okay. Yeah, a custom startup file with yeah. Yeah, not all of them. Be careful. Some of our synths are a little bit tricky to use because they are made to use in some specific parameters, and if you don't use them exactly like we plan to, some unusual stuff. Right. Okay, so that was all.
Thank you.
I guess that's me. I don't know. I was like in the chat earlier and just being like, I don't know if I want to talk. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning for me, or was when I woke up. So I don't know if I can like wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and start, like, my brain isn't exactly working yet to start talking about like serious topics or whatever. So, I don't know. There's just some things I was thinking about in the past few weeks. I'll just say them. This could be just a completely open conversation too. I'm not like trying to give a speech or anything, but I noticed that more recently, like in the United States, all last year, there's the Black Lives Matter protests, and still happening. And so like a lot of people have been talking about racial inclusivity quite a lot. And something that here in the United States, we don't often think about as like a society or community is like, because the problem of like the transatlantic slave trade is unique to the United States, or like Eurocentric white American culture, like, and is very fucked up. We spend a lot of time thinking about the problems and oppression that is related to like persons of color, so Black and brown people and indigenous people. And so there's a lot of language and a lot of dialogue that I think has been developed to talk about these issues, including, and then like as a spin-off of that, there's also like a lot of gay and queer culture here. And so there's like a lot of language and a lot of social philosophy around those topics. And I think that because, you know, this country, the people, the fucked up people that were doing like the enslaving Africans, you know, left us with a big problem that we have to really take a lot of time to like dissect and stop being so fucked up as a society. But it's not to say that like oppression is not unique to one place in the world. It happens everywhere. So I don't know. I guess like I think as a result of the Black Lives Matter protests from last year, there's been a lot more conversation recently that I've seen about how to create intentionally inclusive spaces in digital communication channels. And I noticed, the reason I mention it is because I noticed that a lot of people are saying, I want to create a safe space. There's a code of conduct, et cetera, but like it doesn't still feel like a safe space. And I think that I don't know exactly why. You know, it's hard to say exactly why. It's like, I think a lot of the time, sometimes it's like when somebody does or says something that maybe is like kind of not cool, then nobody wants to be saying something or doing something that's like not cool to do or say, or it makes someone else feel bad. But like, you know, and then it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, cool. Well, what did I say? Or how did I say it in a way that was bad? And how can I change that? And like, you know, sometimes I have the energy and sometimes I don't, but like there's an idea that's common that we talk about here is something about emotional labor. I don't know if anyone here has heard of emotional labor before. Question, just like raise your hand if you have not heard of it. Emotional labor. Oh, Crashserver. Yeah, I see you have, is that like a hand or something? Someone, I got a message, a notification that said Crashserver would like to speak. Okay. Yeah, well, emotional labor is basically the idea that like, okay, let's say that, I'll use the example of like racism because I am not of a minority in that category. I have light skin, I am white passing, I am Latinx, but I'm also look white, you know, because of my heritage or whatever. So for all these purposes, I'm white. And so like, let's say I am doing something that's hurtful to a person of color, like,
I think we lost you.
Yeah. Ash?
Ash, can you please reconnect or turn the mic on and off, maybe? I'll write here on. Do you hear us, right? Oh.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I like play with things and I was fucking with the cable of my camera and I disconnected it. Okay, so like emotional labor is like kind of like, okay, let's say I'm doing something that's like a bit insensitive to someone else and I don't understand why it's insensitive and I want to understand why it's insensitive, like I'm appropriating something from someone else's culture or something like that, then and it's my friend and I'm like, oh, like my friend, I'm so sorry for doing that. Like tell me what I did wrong and tell me how to improve doing it. But like maybe my friend experiences this type of like microaggression discrimination on a regular basis. And so because they have to, it's like they have to explain to 20 or 30 people per day what they're doing wrong and how to improve it, eventually it becomes very exhausting. And so to ask of someone to constantly be explaining how you can improve yourself is asking them to perform emotional labor for you. So this is like, this is found in the area of like gender stuff and racial stuff, I think typically are the main ways. And anyways, I just wanted to mention that idea. I didn't have this conversation planned. I'm just kind of flowing with it. But like starting points, I guess, for like beginning to have conversations about more inclusive stuff, I guess. So then in that same turn, I'm not going to talk about this for very long. The idea that like, you know, we all know that there are certain topics that are like a little bit difficult to navigate. And so I guess to show an interest in participating in these kinds of conversations, like, you know, it's like when you show up on the Stack Overflow forum and you're like, hey, how do I solve this problem? And you expect someone else to like solve your problem for you, kind of. Well, that's not what you actually are expecting. It's like you don't know how to start answering the problem. But like the kinds of in like chat forums and stuff, I think sometimes for new programmers, I've noticed there's like a tendency to be like, I'm trying to solve this problem. Can someone give me the answer? But like, actually, there's a different question that needs to be asked, I think, sometimes to get you start. Like the answer might be easy to find if you're asking a different type of question. So that was a bit abstract. Does anything, I don't know if that all made sense. I kind of started getting really philosophical there.
No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
So yeah, I guess the idea of emotional labor, it's like kind of like if you have a question about some sensitive topic, try to do a little bit of your own research first, and then ask the question or something like that. But I'm really interested to talk about these kinds of things, and I can talk about them for a really long time. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna stop talking about them and ask if anyone has anything that like came up or that they want to ask questions or talk about or anything. If not, we can move on. So. Okay. Well, thanks for listening to my little spiel. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Like, you mean if you observe someone doing something that's like not cool, and then how to address it? Kind of depends on like what's happening, what's the exact situation. Like, I'll give one example from my personal life recently. There's this guy that I don't know that well, and he's a white guy. He's a Canadian guy, and over the summer he was like, I think he was pretty drunk, and he was saying something about how he thought that like people talking about Black Lives Matter and racism in the United States was bullshit, and he was sick of hearing about it. And like, there's a lot of problems with that with that statement. The main problem that I can see is that like he gets to entertain the idea of being sick of hearing about it because he's not Black. And because he can just turn it off. He doesn't have to think about Black Lives Matter because his life matters in that sense. And so I don't know him that well, but I want to talk to him about this. So like one thing I did first was like I talked to two people that are good friends of mine that know him. And I said, hey, like I heard this guy say this thing, and like it surprised me and it shocked me. It made me uncomfortable, and I want to talk to him about it. And my friends were both like, wow, that's crazy. I can't imagine him saying something like that. And then they explained to me like a little bit about his personality, and still, you know, I'm going to talk to him about it at some point. But, you know, it's kind of hard when you don't know somebody very well to just approach them with some shit like that. And be like, hey, by the way, you said some really messed up stuff and I don't know you that well, because it can feel like an attack. And I think that for someone to feel threatened or attacked is it achieves the opposite of the goal. And the goal is to increase people feeling included in a community. And if someone is like saying some messed up stuff, to make them feel like ashamed, I think, is not like productive, because it creates a power dynamic that separates people from each other. And I think that, like, in my opinion, the most, unless someone is causing physical harm to someone else, the most effective ways of communication are to create an inclusive space where people feel like they aren't going to be punished for communicating, basically. I don't know if that does that answer anything at all? I don't know. That was just like my personal philosophy. Like ostracized. I also think there's something, there's one way of talking about it, which is calling you out. I don't know if you've heard of the idea, you call them out. There's another contrast of that, which is calling somebody in. So instead of calling them out, it's like saying out, get out. But calling them in is saying like, no, the reason I'm telling you about this is because I want to include you in my conversation. So I think it's a psychological, it's just you know, it's just a nuance, like a psychological nuance, a way of changing how you think about these types of things, I think, is like the first step, I feel like. So. Like a forbidden subject or something. Yeah, I think it feels like a forbidden subject sometimes, but, you know, for me, you know, everyone has a good day and a bad day. So normally I'm like totally down to answer any kinds of questions about anything along lines like this. So sometimes oh, please.
I do think you that's the right approach, because when we started I started in the channel, you actually mentioned that don't say guys to everybody. And since then you told me, and it was a good conversation. It always pops now up in my mind, and I can correct myself because I take it serious. When you say, okay, that's not okay, then okay, and then we talk about why, and then I understand why, and then I have actually this change in my mind, and I think that's important to build in an inclusive environment. Also, the capability of learning manifest in the end of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting too. It's like, you know, maybe then now you can have a conversation with like a man so that someone who feels sensitive to the subject doesn't have to have a conversation. And I think that guys often communicate with guys in a different way than like men and women, or men and queer, trans people, non-binary people communicate. Queer, trans people communicate with each other in different ways too. It's like women communicate in different ways with each other. It's like there's not one restriction on how people should communicate with each other. Like everyone communicating with everyone is good.
In moods and character.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I feel like I talked for too long about that. I would like to end this conversation now because I'm starting to feel self-conscious. So.
Okay, you had a second topic,
Yeah,
right?
let me see if I can share the screen. Okay, little screen. All right. Screen one. Which one is screen one? All right. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't even know how to share the sound for the screen. Okay, so I can't do it with Firefox? All right, well, I'll switch to Chrome if it doesn't work. Can you hear this? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Are we supposed to hear anything now?
yeah, I can't. You know, it's interesting. I can't hear anything either. I'm gonna turn on Chrome real quick. So one thing. So like, I'll just talk a little bit about what. There's a couple things I'd like to share. One is like the compactification of transcriptions, which I've been thinking about. Okay, cool. It's in Japanese. I don't know why it's in Japanese. Um,
Did she crash? Oh.
Yeah, I changed browsers. Well, I have FoxDot in the desktop. I switched to using the Google Chrome browser. Okay, share audio. Let's see if it works. Interesting. You can see this?
Yes.
Cool.
But if you can make the font a little bit bigger, I think the quality, yeah, that's better.
I'll make this one bigger. All right. Let's see, testing. Damn. So nothing, right? Cool. Can you hear sound?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so that was the test. So basically, one thing I'm just going to mention real quick is a thing I accidentally discovered, which was an experiment. I accidentally figured out that using Super Collider's cursor control, you can pipe the cursor control in as a synth def into FoxDot, which is kind of cool. So I made a mouse synth. So it's right here. Can you see that? Is that better? So like you can see here, you see sine mouse synth def. So sine mouse synth def, then if you in FoxDot, you define sine equals the synth def. Oh wait, hold on. Sine mouse. So that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. Could you hear that? It's pretty fun. Yeah, but I mean, that's like an amazing property. And that really got my mind going about like Super Collider is so powerful. It's like, you know, there's probably a bunch of other stuff in Super Collider that you can just natively send into FoxDot. But yeah, that was just, you know, I set it to be like the variables is like low pass filter, cutoff, white noise, low pass filter, cutoff using like a modulation envelope and stuff. So I can put this code somewhere. That's not the main.
That's
yeah,
nice.
Definitely. It's like super silly. And then the other thing I have is I did a transcription as well of a bunch of rhythms from Breakbeat. And I did these by ear as a way of, they're all from like the 60s and 70s, classic breakbeats. So like, oops, what do I have to start in this as well? See if this works. Is that loud enough? Cool. All right, so this is the Amen Brothers, which is like the most classic breakbeat that is imaginable. And it got ripped off and stolen, and it basically like turned, like it was what allowed techno to like, you know, happen kind of in a certain kind of way. So, what's that? Oops.
Not sure if I can hear the bass drum, but
Bass drum.
it's like very.
It's probably pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh shit. 10. I hope I didn't blast you. Let's do 2. Better?
Maybe that's Jitsi that's compressing the sound. Not
yeah,
sure.
I think it is. It sounds really quiet on my end too. Oh yeah, how do I do that?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Yeah, it could be the EQs coming through strange, like the compression or whatever. Anyways, so this is some ideas that I had, and then whatever. So that's just the breakbeat transcription. I'm going to trigger all of them, and then I'm going to talk about the compactification problem that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So this is
Trigger.
James Brown from 1969. Okay. Similar but different. Oh, this is cool too. Yeah. So that's the different song. It's a James Brown song. Here's another James Brown song.
I can't really hear the low frequencies, unfortunately.
Okay, turn it up.
Yeah, I think maybe the sound is really coming through your microphone.
I have headphones on, so I don't know. I can it could be this one in particular. There's a bunch of other shit. But this is just a straight up. I'll do another one. Maybe the EQ is bad on this one. That's just the funky drummer from James Brown. That's like a just. It's definitely the break format transcription. Okay, that's probably real quiet, huh? So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them. I can keep doing them, but I guess I'll just sort of like, this is more of like a thought problem that I'm kind of just trying to like develop questions for thinking about it. Is like, I can compare here, for example, where is that? There's that one really long one. This one's pretty long. So here, it's a bongo solo for the song Apache, which was like a famous hip hop song. So, I mean, it's not now. So here, I mean, it's like the rhythm, the duration of each of those notes, like it's really literal and manual. And the sample, it's just like a linear, like they call it the brute force method for like transcribing or doing whatever. In math, I guess, physics, it's the brute force method. And so it's just like a literal MIDI transcription of the duration of each note and the sample. And it's the same, you know, same sound is being triggered over and over again. So like, I've been thinking a lot about like sequencers and just like how they work fundamentally as like concepts. So it's like if the sound is always on, the sound is always triggering and running, the clock is always going the entire time, then like you're not really manipulating the sound, you're manipulating the notion of time. And so like, okay, this is one example where it's a linear transcription of it. And then here, there's another, let's see, up here. This one's a bit weird. So like, I was unable to figure out another way to represent this rhythm pattern. I'm trying to represent it in like the smallest, most compact way possible so that I don't have to do like manual MIDI, literal MIDI rhythm transcriptions. So how to like really algorithmically, like this is algorithmic music. So like, how can we make it as like compact as possible? And I don't really have any conclusions, but I'm just experimenting with it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to develop a language for. You know, theoretically, 1.5, 2.5, 1.1, 1.5, 1.5 is like I don't know. Is this the most like elegant, compact, small way to represent this sound? I'm not really sure, but I would be curious to see if maybe as a project, maybe like, you know, we could pick a small example of audio and then everyone can try to do a transcription of it and see how many different ways we can represent the same exact thing. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
That's really nice. Can you please share all those examples?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've started dipping my toes into breakbeats recently.
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah,
I'd like to try it.
It's the amen break is definitely that'd be cool. Like if you're doing it, then you can do the amen break, then we can like compare it and talk about it or something like.
I would like to participate in that conversation. Yay! Because lately I figured I can actually use a delay. I actually give the whole 4 beats on one character, and then I use actually. Now what you can do is you put if you have more beats within that beat in that bar, you actually use round brackets, so you can have 3 beats in one go, separated by the time. Then I sent you a line just now.
Cool.
I have
from the chat or the
from just an example. An example, yeah. Now here in the chat, I just sent it.
Cool.
Then you can see what I'm talking about, actually.
Cool. Maybe I'm not seeing. Oh, there. Okay, cool, nice. That's so cool. Wait, that's crazy. Using delay as a chord.
Yes.
That's like that's like voices actually. That's almost like a delay voice. Like in the terms of like orchestration. Like if you're having multiple voices in like an an arrangement or something, that's almost like using delay as a voice in an orchestration.
Okay.
That's crazy.
But I'm looking forward to check the examples of yours.
Likewise.
I also like breakbeats, and drum bass and jungle, and that's I was end of 90s. That was my thing.
So cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, nice. Thanks for the talk.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry to take up so much time.